argument, and people say that was over. There was an alleged argument, and people say that was over things about he was being very clear to not have anything to do with anything that might get in his system because he knew he had his big workout coming on Monday. And so that's why they're like just not accepting any of this, Don. They are not accepting that their son just died by coincidence or accident.
Ben, do we know what that argument was? Do we know specifically if it was Nolan and people with him?
Well, we have an investigator talking to some of their friends, and we're gathering information. And when we get that information, we will share it because we want to be transparent. We don't want to speculate, but we want to investigate. And that's very critical here. That's why, Don Lemon, we are having an independent autopsy done on top of whatever autopsy was done by the state of Mississippi. We're going to have him flown to a medical examiner in Washington, D.C., where his body will be preserved to do an autopsy to study every aspect of if he had any physical injuries to his body beyond drowning.
Mm-hmm.
There was an alleged argument, and
ladies and gentlemen, throughout American history, there have been cases that raise profound questions. Cases that leave marginalized communities such as ours demanding answers. Cases where families insist that the truth has not been revealed. Some of these questions have ultimately been answered, but often they remain unsolved. What history teaches all of us is that skepticism always is going to emerge when institutions has previously failed us time and time and time and time and time again. Where there's a lack of transparency, accountability, justice, trust is difficult to maintain from generation to generation. The truth has been obstructed or denied altogether. So the reality of it is, it helps when families and communities rally together in these situations and support each other when there's a controversial case. Why? Because you need independent investigations, you need forensics experts, legal counsel, public record litigation. All of this is required. You need substantial resources. And this is the reason why Nolan Wells' family is raising the money that they're raising. When you are going against a machine, you need the resources. Some people are upset that they went and acquired Benjamin Crump, but the truth is, in order to go against a complete racist, demonic system, you need the resources to fight such a battle. I mean, you need to actually demand some real discovery, which costs money. You got these racist Idumean Edomites they specialize in cover-ups, and they're spending money. All of them are spending money. When Nolan Wells was mysteriously unalive, they all got lawyered up, and they got way more money than that family have put together for their legal defense. See, whether pursuing civil remedies, demanding transparency, or just challenging official conclusions, you're going to need funding to determine whether or not things are going and being done right. You're going to need that funding. So I want to say this, y'all. I truly believe, evaluating this whole entire case, that it is a Klan initiation ritual gone wrong. a cover-up gone wrong. And the reason it went wrong, I believe it was never meant to get out this big. I don't think it was ever meant to blow up in the public the way it has. And now, thanks to, investigative journalists such as certain content creators and people who have put the awareness out there, it has to be blown up in the public. And I believe we're on for a show, because already TMZ has announced that law enforcement in Mississippi already said that they don't believe it was any foul play involved. So now things are about to get real, y'all. And we're going to talk about a lot of the lies that are coming out. And I'm going to definitely inform, edify, educate, and bring you nothing but the truth. Y'all know how we do, y'all. Make sure y'all get the likes on the way in. Show your support as you enter. Y'all know the routine. We have to keep the likes and engagement up. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen.
They working against us. They hate our souls. They hate us. They hate our righteous indignation. They hate the exhortation that dwells in us. They hate our love for the They hate our conviction. They hate the fact that we repentant. They hate the fact that we truthful, honest, and bold. They hate our courage. Them devils hate us. We're not finna line ourselves up with these weirdos and freaks. With these weirdos and freaks. They working against us. They hate our souls. Weirdos and freaks. But these weirdos and freaks, they working against us. They hate our souls. Nubreed.
It's a holy convocation. They cross the line, we gon' see a demonstration. We so alive, we can see right through the matrix. Unshackled from the chains and the bondage. Smooth selling, fresh linen on these garments. Carried by mercy, spirit led till you call me up. Divine justice, my God, he is not a bluff. Survived the ambush, they plans was corrupt. Escape the clutch, hit the three-wheel motion. Swerving on them cowards till I get where I'm going. Running marathons, they waiting like some vultures. Defy destruction, been redeemed, this is not a dream. They plot and scheme, mark they self with a red beam. Slouched over devil, got them on some puppet strings. Reign supreme, they can never break my self-esteem. Survived the war, thank God heaven intervened. He intervened. Lord, I hear you now, I hear you now, I hear you now. Cause you spoke so loud. Lord, I fear you now, I fear you now, I fear you now, I fear you now. Cause you spoke so loud. I thank you, Lord, for the warnings you given me. I gave them second chances, but it won't be a trilogy. I'm walking in my peace and protecting my energy. Corruption in their soul, and it isn't no remedy. No remedy, for there's no remedy against the proud man's plague. For the plan of wickedness have taken root in him. Ecclesiasticus 3:28. It wasn't gentle correction, it was prophetic conviction. Had to get on the right path and make some restrictions. I'm just thankful I'm living and you created division. I'm finding joy after morning, grace is rewriting my story. You gave me quiet revelations, I'll be inciting your glory. You took them people about my life that wasn't good for me. I hear you now, so I'm moving with passion. Rebuke the witches, warlocks, and them demon assassins. Now the tabernacle bell rings whenever we passing. They so flabbergasted, wanted me in the casket. But the light is descending, and the fear is dissolved. Lord, your power is awesome. Speaking truth, we're becoming the problem. But they really can't solve it. Take heed, you shall hearken, or keep living in darkness. Lord, I hear you now, I hear you now, I hear you now, I hear you now. Cause you spoke so loud. I feel you now, I feel you now, I feel you now, I feel you now, cause you spoke so loud. You spoke so loud. You spoke so loud. You spoke so loud. You spoke so loud.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Peace and blessings to everybody joining. I see y'all brothers and sisters in the chat. Champ's Vision, what's going on? Where you been, bro? I haven't seen you in a minute. John Deese in the building. Tania's in the building. Empowered Educator. Hey, the Most High spoke so loud. He spoke so loud. How many of y'all have been in situations in your life where the Most High just spoke so loud and everything was clear? And it was revealed to you who the people were around you that you couldn't trust. And the fact that there were people around you that they wasn't who they seemed they were. You know, we should be able to all relate to that to a degree, you know. And I believe Nolan was in the same type of situation. I believe Nolan was in the same type of situation where he thought he had friends, you know, he had the people that he grew up with. And unfortunately, and we're going to say allegedly, you know, those same people, he was looking up at them as he drowned. And they left him there to drown. Might even been the ones who drowned him, threw him overboard. Imagine you looking up out of that water as you drown, and the last people you see are the people that you called your friends. The people you called your friends. Now, that's something to really consider. And I want to get the lighting right in here. So give me one moment. One moment. There we go. There we go. But this Nolan Wells situation, it needs justice. It's about time that the people flex and show their power. It definitely was a 4th of July blood sacrifice ritual. It was an initiation. I believe to be a Klan initiation. And Benjamin Crump.
People say that
Benjamin Crump has gotten involved. The family seek the right legal counsel, if you ask me. They needed a high-profile lawyer for a high-profile case. And there's been a lot coming out as of late, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, recently in the news, it has been stated that from the family that there were deleted text messages from Nolan's phone upon the friends, the so-called friends, we're going to put that in quotations. There were deleted text messages. And so we got to question everything at this point. And what I want everybody to understand is when you are demanding transparency, when you are pursuing civil remedies, or you're challenging these conclusions that these white supremacists come up with, access to funding is critical in determining the outcome. You need access to funding. So I want to just first and foremost shout out all my people for rallying together, being on code, and actually supporting Nolan Wells and his family. That shows that our people are willing to fight for justice. That goes to show, and I'm going to tell you this, the white supremacists, they don't like seeing that. They do not like seeing us rally together, put our finances together to make sure that justice is served. They don't like it. They don't like it. Now, there's some things we're going to evaluate here.
This woke white woman tells the truth about this Nolan Wells situation.
If the situations were reversed, if the circumstances were reversed, and it was 3 black boys who took a white boy out and the 3 black boys came back and the white boy did not, it wouldn't matter that they didn't know what happened. Those 3 black boys would have been in handcuffs. Those 3 black boys would still be in questioning to this day. I can see the Fox News headline now, right? They would have used it as proof. See, we told you black people were dangerous. We told you black people were bad.
And that's big facts. The double standard is real in America. If 3 black boys went to an island with 1 white boy, and those 3 black boys came back from that island without that 1 white boy, and that 1 white boy was found dead, those 3 black boys would immediately be arrested, and those 3 black boys would immediately be looked at as guilty. Not only did those 3 white boys leave that black boy on the island, but they have now all deactivated their social media accounts and lawyered up. Their parents have also deactivated their social media accounts. That don't seem odd to y'all? They are definitely hiding something. I'm praying the truth comes out soon. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells.
Yeah, you know, friends don't move like that. And you could say whatever you want, but if my friend and we go to an island, and he ends up not coming back with me, I'm not finna go get lawyered up and deactivate all my damn social media accounts. Where they do that at? I mean, you know, this is the part where common sense got to kick in. I'm not gonna straight up delete social media, disappear, come back without him, and not call the police. Mind you, while all of that is going on, never calling the police. Where they do that at? Where do they do that at? Now, one of the parents of the alleged friends, the Judge Ashley Cole, she made a statement. Let's get to it.
Judge Ashley Cole, who is the mother of one of the boys who was last seen with Nolan Xavier Wells, has officially put out a statement. And she's essentially saying in this statement that the reason that she deleted her Facebook account was because she has other young children and she didn't want their pictures circulating the internet, and that she needed to protect her child and all of her children. She also says that she went to high school with Nolan's mother and that they grew up in the same community, and that her son loved Nolan dearly, and that the last time that her son saw Nolan was at 3 p.m. and the boat took off at about 4:30 because they were having some issues with water getting on the boat or something like that. She also shares that her son was under the impression that Nolan was getting on a boat to go back to mainland with some other friends. But again, the math is not mathing. I also think that it's interesting, this narrative about the boat having issues, because it felt like they had a lot of time to plan what they were going to say, because Nolan went missing on Saturday and we had not heard from the boys or their families until today, Wednesday. Now, if you recall, Katie McCormick, who was the girl who he was last seen with, says that she was under the impression that he got back on a boat with his friends. But what I think is strange is that nobody can account for the time lapse where either of them didn't see him anymore. Where did they go? Where was he with this girl? They were on an island, so where else could they have possibly been that his friends didn't see him, or she didn't see him not get on a boat? Something else that has happened that I find a bit strange is one of Nolan's friends had made a statement basically saying that one of the boys who Nolan was on the boat with is known to be using substances, which is not what I find strange. What I find strange is that he then went on to say that he thinks that Nolan may have been peer pressured into using substances while drinking and that something bad would have happened. My question is, if you've known your friend and he's not known to use substances and that person has always used substances, what would make you think that he was peer pressured into using substances on that day? In my personal opinion, I feel like everyone in the situation is making it hard to figure out where he was last actually seen, and that there's going to be some sort of narrative that comes to play about him potentially using substances and drowning or something of that nature. And I don't believe that. It's all giving me scam likely, and I can't understand why there's not one consistent story. Judge Ashley Cole, who is the mother of one of the boys who was last seen with Nolan Xavier Wells, has officially put... put out a statement.
Now, we got to unpack this. But before we unpack what was just stated, I want to address this person's comment here. Penny Bennett says Ben Crump is a civil attorney, not a criminal attorney. Well, honestly, they need a civil rights attorney. Now, notice Ben Crump said, we're not here to speculate. They're trying to demand answers. And it should be clear that the Nolan Wells family are being denied basic civil rights. So what's happening right now is they're exploring their options, getting the independent forensic autopsy done, to get them, getting transparency. So if there is any criminal activity, it will be revealed, and then that would be tried in court. And see, this is the reason why the funds are needed. They got to go through layers. When you're going against the white supremacy infrastructure, when you got judges and lawyers and doctors, and you got this satanic cabal, these Freemasonic Klansmen who are rallied together, putting their resources together, you have to do the extra work to actually be able to get any justice whatsoever. So this is what you must understand. It's going to take a lot more funds than you would think. Honestly, I would not be mad if the Nolan Wells family if they were able to raise $1 million, I would not be mad. Anytime you got corruption at such a level where it's this type of cover up, they need the funds. Let's just call it what it is. They're going against people who are putting all their resources and time together. Now, the judge comes out and she makes a statement, very strategic. And the gentleman in his commentary pointed out something very key. They waited a long time to put out this statement, right? Because they're trying to get their story in order. They're trying to sway public opinion, and they're trying to create a narrative already. If they didn't have nothing to do with Nolan's death, it shouldn't have been no deactivating of any accounts. They should have never left that island without Nolan, and it should have been some police called. It is clear that this is a cover-up and that there's many people involved. Adults as well as these teenagers are involved. All right. Easter Wiley says any good criminal lawyer would take the case. Absolutely. That is true. But right now, when you have the entire police station, when you have the law enforcement all over there covering everything up, the first thing you need is transparency. It's like trying to pull teeth to even get them to be transparent, let alone find any criminal probable cause for a criminal lawyer. They don't have probable cause for a criminal lawyer because there's no evidence of a crime. Why? Because everything is covered up, such as the autopsy. You can't trust any of those people. So I'm trying to explain this in a way where I'm really condescending to the lowest level. If there's no evidence of a murder, which we all know that he was murdered, let's just call it what it is. We know, the public, we know those teenagers, they killed Nolan Wells. We know that. There's no evidence of that. So you need civil rights attorney to do what? Gather the transparency, get them to open up and get the information. When you're fighting a cover up, it costs money. That's the point I'm trying to make. All right. I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. Yep. Somebody says Mississippi have always been that way. That's a fact. That's a fact.
We have an important update concerning the horrific, tragic case of Nolan Wells. And truthfully, not enough people, and especially not enough mainstream outlets, are regularly talking about Nolan, so we need to get this out. Nolan, as you may know, is an 18-year-old man who was found dead after going missing over 4th of July weekend in Mississippi. The circumstances around his death right now are unclear and under investigation. His family is demanding a full and transparent investigation. The family retained recently Benjamin Crump, a civil rights lawyer, and in a statement they are demanding a, quote, thorough and independent investigation into how Nolan died. In a statement from Benjamin Crump, he says that the family deserves answers and the truth about Nolan's death, and that investigators are urged to essentially pursue this case with urgency and transparency this family deserves. Nolan, for those who may not know, was described by his family and those around him as a, quote, happy-go-lucky kid with a big smile that everybody adored and loved. He was about to turn 19 next month. He was a wide receiver on his school's football team, a good student, a good man. And people need to know his story, and people need to continue talking about it as his family seeks justice and accountability and the results of a thorough and independent investigation. We have
Yep. And see, what Benjamin Crump and Nolan Wells' family is trying to display is there's a larger lesson in all this. You know, it's not about assigning guilt before any evidence exists. That will fumble the case altogether. That's why they're not trying to make direct accusations publicly. The larger lesson in all of this is that history has repeatedly shown the danger of blind trust in any powerful institution. You know, every generation inherits the same responsibility to do what? Ask the difficult questions. Examine evidence carefully. Demand accountability from entrusted authority. Justice requires scrutiny. Truth requires persistence. Neither of that has been achieved with silence. You need a polarizing figure to address these things publicly. You cannot do it. You cannot do it with any Joe Schmo lawyer. You're going to have a big name. You're going to have to get massive media attention behind it in order just to get truth. And I'm going to tell you, them rednecks over there in them hills, they are nervous. They're nervous. Oh, they are. Hey, listen, they ishing their pants, y'all. I'm talking about the police chief, the damn mayor, they throwing back cold ones all summer. I'm telling you, they did not want this thing to get out of hand like this. So the initiation ritual, it went wrong. The blood sacrifice on 4th of July, it went wrong. They didn't want it to blow up like this. I'm telling y'all right now.
So they saying they didn't kill bro. That's Nolan Wells. But riddle me this. They went on a little turn-up extravaganza to this island you can only get to via boat. They came back without him. Everybody like, hey, where Nolan at? They like, oh, we don't know. How you don't know if you went to an island you can only get to by boat with him, but you came back without him? They like, oh, he left with some girl. What girl? Where did he leave to? What are you talking about? They like, yeah, we don't really know. The girl's the last person to see him. Who is the girl? What's her name? Those words can't be taken serious and not looked at as a lie. And I'm not saying it's they got him because they're white and he's black. That has nothing to do with anything. These motherfuckers left with him and came back without him. And mind you, these are all fresh 18-year-olds. These are kids. I hope they actually get some justice for bro. Because I don't know what happened. Only they know what happened. And if they didn't actually do it, they should still be partly responsible. Because why the fuck did you leave him on the island and didn't take him home? If we go together, we coming back together, whether you want to or not. Oh, but I'm trying to stay with this girl. Bring her, bro. If you don't bring her, leave her. But you're coming back with us because you came with us. You cannot leave the fucking island without us. So this is strange. There is no love and loyalty with that. That makes no sense. That is not a brotherhood. So I hope they get some justice for my boy.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, why did they have his phone? You know, why were there deleted text messages, which Benjamin Crump has also made public? There's a whole lot of details that are now being made public that really puts everybody who involved under a microscope.
They're going to try to cover this one up, but it's not going to work.
So the girl that Nolan was last seen with, her name is Katie, is cooperating with authorities and is speaking up about what she saw. And according to Katie, they hung out for a little while in the afternoon. And the last thing that she remembers is Nolan telling her, I'm going to my friends and I'm going to leave with them, which directly refutes them saying that he told them that he was going to hang out with some girl and going to find another way to get back to the mainland. So that's a really, really powerful discrepancy that the last person that we know saw him alive said, the last thing he said to me was, I'm going to go back with my friends because we're going to go back to the mainland, which makes sense. You don't get on a boat to a very populated, but secluded, like hard to get to, but populated island on a holiday and just think I'm randomly going to find another way back to the mainland. It doesn't really work that way. So there's so many different stories and so many different things flying around that don't make any sense. I was very glad that somebody sent me the report of the girl. They're calling her girlfriend. I don't think she was a girlfriend, but people online are calling her girlfriend. I don't think she was a girlfriend, but the girl he met there, and she is fully cooperating with authorities and has let the authorities know that what she recalls the last thing him saying after they were hanging out is, I'm going to go back with my friends, get on the boat, and go back to the mainland. So, I'm in contact with a lot of people. I've been in contact with some of the members of the family, and some people in the local area, and some people from the school. People are sending me information, so I'm going to share it with you. I think it's very important that we are aware of stories like this because there are racial undertones, and not just what happened that day, but also in the way it's being covered. And I think that it's important that we cover these things in a way that makes this family much more likely to have justice. Perhaps it's an accidental drowning. As I've also heard, the sheriff is saying they suspect it was an accidental drowning. That's an early report. I don't know if that's true or not. Or perhaps something nefarious or wrong happened. But I do know that there are many different stories coming from different angles, and I want the authorities to take this seriously, do a proper investigation, and give this family the proper justice that they deserve.
All right, so here's the issue here. You got the young lady saying that the last time she saw him, being Nolan, he was talking about getting back on that boat and going back home with his friends. Where on the other hand, the friends are saying the last place they saw him was with said female. Somebody's lying. Nolan didn't just walk off the island. So that's a cover-up. That's a cover-up. And these are the type of details that we need to understand. And, according to TMZ, they're claiming that it has already been stated that they don't believe is any foul play involved, any criminal activity. And I don't know how they could say that before the autopsy report is official. But they're already planting those seeds to the public that it was some type of freak accident where this young man just mysteriously died and nobody knows what the hell happened to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who did what and I don't know how it went down, but I do know this: if I go somewhere with my friends, if we came together, we leave together, I ain't leaving y'all nowhere. And if something happened, I'm not going back home with your damn cell phone so you can't call nobody and then deactivate my account and go find a lawyer. I'm not saying who did what or however. I don't know, but I know that's suspicious as hell. Who do that? That's all I'm saying. And another thing, because like I said, I don't know who did what or how everything went down. I don't know how nobody was raised. I don't know that. But I do know that sometimes these circumstances come up because certain people believe that not telling their children about danger is a form of protection. I don't know why. I'm not saying that's what the case is. You know what I'm saying? We can, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, well, why you gotta make it a race? We can take color completely out of it because the young lady that was from Charlotte, who was a hairdresser, the same thing happened to her. Her friends came back from Mexico and lied. And they was all black. What I'm talking about is discernment. Discernment. Please know who you around. Please know who you around. You need, please, I tell y'all all the time, the three most important things in the world: location, association, and value. You got to know who you with, who you around, who not to be around. That one friend that always got a backhanded compliment, always, yeah, you know, Nolan's just a douchebag. No, Nolan don't like you, and you need to watch him. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm just saying, I done been in this situation before. I've been the fly in the milk at work, and there was always a slick comment back every day, every single day. There was always somebody had something to say. Somebody had that. You wonder, why am I on your mind as much? Just saying, it don't look right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you got to be careful who you spend your time around. Pay attention to the subtle things that people say. Pay attention to the projections. Pay attention to the body language. Pay attention to the things people do, the microaggressions. You got to pay attention. I mean, it'd be a lot of haters in disguise. It'd be a lot of people who be in secret competition. It'd be a lot of people trying to destiny swap with you. And the thing about destiny swapping is it's the spirit of Cain. That's what it really is. Because when you look at the story of Cain and Abel, Abel's sacrifice unto the Most High was appropriate. And the Most High tried to give Cain an opportunity to bring a proper sacrifice, but instead, through jealousy, a malignant root entered. And see, jealousy is cruel as the grave. Envy is cruel as the grave. That's one of those emotions. If you don't get it under check with emotional intelligence, you can let a lot of things in your spirit. Just being jealous, envious, having unresolved issues and resentment towards a person, you can start bringing in all manners of evil, including murder. Murder's a big one. Murder's a big one. That's why if you're in a relationship with the wrong person and they're a jealous person, that jealous person will kill you. They will wipe you out. If you're around a friend that's jealous and they keep seeing you win, they keep seeing you succeed and thrive. Some of these friends be seeing what you be going through in life, and they would be looking at it from a distance. And every time you slip, they think you about to fall, and they'll sit there and be anticipating your downfall. And every time you get back up, they hate you even more. There's a lot of people that carry that. There's a lot of people that look at you, brothers and sisters, who carry the light, who have discernment, who have empathy, who have talents, skills, abilities, motion out here, influence out here. They may not just like the way other people receive you, and they will be looking, and they'll be gritting their teeth at the thought of you actually being an overcomer. So they'll do everything to hold you under. And of course, we know that this situation was race specific. Speaking of the Nolan Wells situation, but we also know there's other circumstances that can exist. Right? And yes, this situation is race specific. And we can see how it is because how they dealt with it so far.
One of the boys that was on the boat with Nolan, whose mother is a judge, has released a statement. So she says that her family grieves the loss of Nolan Wells. Our thoughts and prayers are with Nolan's family. Our son Warren loved Nolan dearly. Unfortunately, I feel that it is appropriate for our family to dispel some rumors. She said, yes, I deactivated my Facebook, given the very heightened emotional state of social media. I fear for the safety of my child and my children. My husband and I have 6 children, and we covet their privacy. We do not believe it is appropriate for our minor children's photographs to be circulated throughout the internet. She says she went to high school with Nolan's mom. They graduated together. They're from the same community. She respects the family and that they are mourning Nolan as well. She says her and her husband were not on Horn Island at any point on the 4th of July. and that she is not impeding in the investigation at all. That her son Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. She says, yes, I'm a judge and I value transparency. I apologize if anyone was offended that I deleted my social media. There were no nefarious motivations in my deleting social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but also has a lot of negatives. Information will help to redirect the attention to the Wells family, their grief, and their need for community support. One of the boys that was on the boat with Nolan, whose mother...
Now, the question I have is, how did Nolan die? How did he die? Why did they have Nolan's cell phone? And why did the other boys delete their social medias? See, we gotta ask the right questions. Why did the other teenagers get rid of their social medias? Why did everybody go into hiding? And if you're in support of the family, why delete social media? Why not post immediately? Why delete it? Foul play. And we're not buying what she's saying at all. We're not buying that. Until, of course, we're not making any accusations towards her or her son. Let's to be clear about that. We're not making accusations. We're evaluating history. And based on what we see, it seems that we have a cover-up going on. I want y'all to hear Benjamin Crump expose even more about this situation. Let me see, is this the one?
You mentioned earlier there are some contradictions. Yes. What gives you confidence or perhaps concern about the investigation so far?
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats of argument where you had Nolan and somebody yelling at one another on the boat. So that's an issue. And then you have the young lady make a statement and she says, well, Nolan and I finished talking and Nolan said he was going back to the boat. And then the boys on the boat said, no, Nolan told them he was going to stay with her. And so they are conflicting. She's saying he went and got on the boat. They saying he didn't get on the boat. So which is it? And all we know is Nolan is dead.
You mentioned earlier there are some contradictions. Yes. What gives you confidence or perhaps concern about the investigation so far?
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats.
Now, I want to talk about that altercation. Now, the video, the footage, we examined that footage in our previous broadcast, and you can hear either Nolan yelling or the guys on the boat yelling, and they yell one or two things. I'm going to tell you what I heard as I played that video back and forth. I just kept playing it. I heard one or two things. I either heard, give me my effing phone back, or I heard you're not getting on an effing boat. I heard those two things. Either give me my effing phone back coming from Nolan, or you're not getting on an effing boat. That I kept playing it, and that's the only thing I can make out in that altercation. So the fact that that altercation is not being addressed, and you got the judge saying, oh, no, we love the family, and there was no issues, and you know they was transparent, but we have footage of an altercation. we have footage of an altercation, which I do have that video somewhere on file, and we will get to it. And ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and get the likes up on the video. They just knocked 75 people out randomly. The things they do to try to silence and hide my platform. They do this all the time. So get the likes up. Make sure everybody else is able to get notified. They like to keep the views. They like to suppress and hide the channel. They do this all the time, y'all. But anyway, let's go. And the reason they do this because they know that there's a lot of critical thinking going on over here.
So the autopsy for Nolan Xavier Wells will be done by...
I'm Stacy Turner, and I'm the Chief Medical Examiner of the state of Mississippi.
But the problem with this chief medical examiner is that Dr. Stacy Turner may have mislabeled other black men's causes of death. So I was looking into Mississippi Free Press, and experts pointed out that she labeled other causes of death as undetermined, despite evidence to the contrary. So in the summer of 2021, a body was delivered to the medical examiner's office, crime lab in Jackson, Mississippi, right? He died after struggle with police. His face was swollen, he was bloodied, and he was bleeding from his neck. It was some witnesses that described seeing two deputies kneeling on him for more than 10 minutes. Yet, Ms. Turner here labeled the manner of death as undetermined, which that type of decision will call off any further investigations. And it said here that both of the officers returned to work. So, yeah. So I'm praying that they do get an independent autopsy done, just to be on the safe side. So the autopsy for Nolan Xavier Wells will be done by...
So they got the demo on Stacy Turner, the medical examiner, and apparently and allegedly, she's already false diagnosed causes of death. Would you look at that? You know, our people are always going to dig and do the research. And yeah, so they saying that this medical examiner is no good. And I'm not surprised. That's why I'm glad that they are getting their independent medical examination done. I'm glad they're getting it done. Somebody said, keep your cash tag posted. My Cash App is Nubreed Global Truth, and I will post that for y'all. And, you know, I would appreciate some support for the show. I would appreciate it. If y'all like my investigative journalist work, it's some of the best you're going to get on this platform. And, you know, we're going to always dig deep. And I really want to play that footage for y'all so y'all can hear the altercation. That here we have it right here. And you can hear Nolan saying, give me my effing phone, or they're saying you're not getting on the effing boat. Let's play it. And honestly, it sounds more like, give me my MFing phone. What the F are you doing? That's what it sounds like. Give me my MFing phone. What the F are you doing? That's what I'm hearing. Let's play it again. Tell me, y'all, through the discernment that we all got, allow me to, because I don't know, I'm just using my discernment. It's like I can hear it vaguely, but what it sounds like I'm hearing is give me my MFing phone. What the F are you doing? And he sounds angry about it. I mean, you can't take nobody's phone these days. Let's play it one more time and tell me if is that what y'all hearing too. It sounds like he said, give me my MFing phone and get back to whatever the F you doing. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. Somebody said, does that video have subtitles? No, this is just the video footage. This is the video footage that that was released. So clearly there's an altercation. Something was wrong. Something went wrong. That's what I heard. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like that might have been Nolan saying, "Give me my phone." Or it could have been somebody saying, "Get off my boat." Or you're not getting on an MFN boat. It's something like that. You just can't make it out. You just can't make it out, man. It was either phone or boat, but something went wrong. Yep. I'm telling you. So the judge acting like everything was all cool and copacetic. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Now let's talk about it.
I never wanted to really start making content like this, but once you see the pattern, it's really hard to unsee it. So let's go. I know I'm not the only one that can say this. When we saw this picture of Nolan on the boat with his friends that he's missing, unfortunately, we already knew the outcome. Nolan was found unalive, and these same friends that didn't know anything all deactivated their social media accounts. That sounds pretty innocent to me. Well, I'm with the rest of social media. What kind of friend leaves a friend on an island without their phone and gives it to, I don't know what happened to them? I just want to bring awareness to the fact that, yes, we should absolutely be questioning the validity of the information. But what we should not be doing is jumping to conclusions, because a lot of what propaganda gives us is a pattern. Pay attention to the pattern, okay? Because the pattern that they want us to notice is clearly not Jalen Wiggins, a 10th grader with a 4.3 GPA and 12 offers. That's clearly not the pattern. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. And I am by no means calling this young man just a pattern. As a matter of fact, I send prayers to their family. I actually pray they don't see this video. My platform is to bring awareness on how the mind works, to help people to understand how emotions, situations, propaganda, our children can be used against us to start something. I want to be able to help us understand how patterns exist, how they continue, and how you can actually break it. Once you see the pattern of a system, it's easier to break it down. So family, I have to ask, what pattern do you see in this situation? That's the message. Love you. Bye. I never wanted to really start making content like this.
And you got, the Sambo super soldiers upset that Nolan's family is raising money to get some answers. If it was your family, you would want the same thing. You would get as much resources as you can to figure out what happened to your loved one. Straight up. Why? Because truth requires persistence. That ain't achieved in silence. That ain't achieved in getting a run-of-the-mill lawyer and not making something shake and making noise out here. You need funding for that. We talking about, this is centuries of oppression, and this is just an undeniable fact. Black Americans, we've endured so much that when we come together, that's actually a miracle that we can even come together and fundraise and demand answers. They created a lot of barriers for us to not be able to get transparency. Let's continue. And then there's the accusation that they were trying to force Nolan to take drugs.
There was an alleged argument, and people say that was over things about he was being very clear to not have anything to do with anything that might get in his system, because he knew he had his big workout coming on Monday. And so that's why they're like, just not accepting any of this, Don. They are not accepting that their son just died by coincidence or accident.
Ben, do we know what that argument was? Do we know specifically if it was Nolan and people with him?
Well, we have an investigator talking to some of their friends, and we're gathering information. And when we get that information, we will share it, because we want to be transparent. We don't want to speculate, but we want to investigate. And that's very critical here. That's why, Don Lemon, we are having an independent autopsy done on top of whatever autopsy was done by the state of Mississippi. We're going to have him flown to a medical examiner in Washington, D.C., where his body will be preserved to do an autopsy to study every aspect of if he had any physical injuries to his body beyond drowning.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep. And I believe there was some blunt force trauma. I believe that they knocked him over the head, perhaps, or they drugged him. They probably forcibly fed him something. You know, like, I don't put nothing past none of them. Shout out to brother Tahan. What's up, Tahan? I see you, brother. Thank you for the support. He says, played on some high quality speakers, Breed, and turned the bass down. So there was only treble since the wind was distorting the audio. Heard the give me my effing phone. What are you doing as well? Yep, that's what I sound like I heard. Even with the wind, that's what it sounded like. Now, and what reason would they be trying to take his phone so he can't call anybody for what happens next? And you got to keep in mind, this is when everybody was about to sail back. Everybody was loading their boats. They was at the dock. Everybody was ready to go back home. They took his phone. They knew he wasn't coming home. It was premeditated murder. They knew that young man wasn't coming home. But that's good work right there. That's investigative work right there, Taha. And see, these are the things that the police could have easily done. The investigators could easily do this stuff. You know, the investigators, when the footage went out, they said they're investigating. Well, they should have been able to do that. They should have been able to have, what is it called when you have a forensic technology? They do forensic for technology too, where they can have somebody come in and figure out what the argument was about, what was said. You know why they didn't do that? They're not spending any resources trying to figure out what happened to Nolan. They're trying to cover it up. And this is why we need the resources that Nolan Wells' family have to get this resolved. So these people can know when you come over here messing with our people, you're not going to be able to just pluck us off without any consequences. Money talk, BS walk. You're not just going to be able to just be effing with our people, killing them unlawfully and unjustly, and we're not going to put our financial power together and make something happen. See, this will have certain institutions thinking twice. This will have certain counties like some of these southern demonic racist ass states. This will have Mississippi thinking twice, because they don't want a whole civil rights storm coming down on them. They don't want to be all over social media being drugged like they getting drugged right now. They don't want all of the great minds, the great minds who can put this thing together in words and articulate what's going on. They don't want us on the case. You think they like hearing us expose them like this? The devil like to operate in secrecy. They don't like us putting them on blast like that. Yeah. See, when injustice flourishes, it's when people stop asking questions. To recognize power without accountability, that's dangerous. And that's what the Sambo super soldiers do. They recognize the power, but they don't give them accountability. They're cowards. It's looking real bad for them. I'm telling you, it's a cover up gone wrong. It's gone wrong.
I'm just going to leave 3 things below so you could read yourself in regards to Nolan Wells.
No, I don't know why she would play that music on this. They be going crazy with this damn music on these clips. So we're gonna run past that. We're gonna run past that.
What you're seeing right here is Semitic, or at least not.
Huge shout out to Javon for dropping a post honoring his longtime close friend, Nolan Wells. It is a reminder to not take for granted the relationships we have with awesome people, because what else is life without meaningful relationships? Shout out to real friends you go out with and are safe with, because we've all made mistakes, but real friends keep you from making mistakes you can't come back from. Real friends that never did anything criminal to you would never feel the need to lawyer up. Here's a snippet from the letter that Javon left. Nolan, you were truly a blessing in my life, man. From the day I met you, since we were kids, we just clicked. You always took me under your wing, showed me what true friendship and brotherhood was like. And I'm missing you more than anything, man. You never failed to pick me up, or when I was feeling down, you always put a smile on my face, or you made me laugh. You were someone everyone would want to be around. This isn't a goodbye, brother. This is simply just see you later. I love you, man. Get your rest. So shout out to Javon for being a real friend. God bless you, and my deepest condolences to you and your family at this time. Peace.
Man, I'm telling you, man, that's why you just got to be around your own people, bro. When I think about the Nolan Wells situation, as well as Carmelo Anthony situation, man, these young men would have just been so much better growing up the way we did. They'd have been better off in public schools around their own people, bro. I'm dead serious. They just would have been better off. I know we got issues in our community. Everybody does. You know, people like to highlight black on black crime when really crime is just proximity. You know, people act like there's not white on white crime or Asian on Asian crime and things of that nature. I know we got our issues, but the thing is, man, I believe there's an understanding. There's an understanding in our community that supersedes the issues, especially now where we're in the height of racial tension in the world in general. And I believe it's forcing God's people to kind of come together. But I just believe that our people, those young men would have been safer in their own public schools, in our own communities, around their own people. I believe that they would still be alive to this day. Straight up. Straight up. The game is foul. Yep. And this is no shot at other, other races and other demographics. I mean, it's really not disrespect. Just stating that we need to be around our own. The scriptures even tell us that, that in the last days, people are going to gravitate towards their tribes. So it's unfortunate what happened to him, but I'm glad that Nolan had a real friend. And I wish that he would have been with his homeboy. I wish he would have been with his people instead of these little suspected white supremacists, little criminals that he was with. These damn Vikings that he was with.
Day 2 of how we're being gaslit by the Nolan Wells coverage through a media literacy lens, starting with how the official narrative has already shifted. Share this video so others can learn to better consume news.
Authorities say Wells' friends left the island and he stayed behind and was supposed to take a different boat back to the mainland Saturday, but never did.
The friends' version of the story is now authorities' version of what happened, and the reporter is repeating it here. There's not an ounce of skepticism, not even consideration that the friends, the last people to see him alive, may not be the most credible source of information. Now, listen to how this next line is worded.
Investigators say they have no information at this time to indicate a crime was committed.
This is gaslighting. This isn't about whether they have information to indicate a crime was committed. It's about a death under suspicious circumstances. This framing serves to make you second guess whether it's even possible a crime was committed before it's been determined that there wasn't. This isn't about the reporter. This is about the news organizations owned by corporations committed to controlling the narrative and maintaining a specific narrative. Tag your favorite information-based content creators and independent journalists. The more people talk about this and share, the more we understand how media can be used for manipulation and we can better consume the news. I'm Janae Norman. I used to do the news. Now
Jamie Norman is on point, y'all. Jamie Norman is on point. Salute to her. I've been following her channel now, and she brings out the way the media actually manipulates us, how they spin narratives. And see, if you a brainwashed zombie, if you one who sleep, if you one who don't pay attention to subliminal messaging, you're not going to catch on to these things. And that's what the mass majority fall for, the charades and smoke and mirrors. So you have people saying, how we even know he wasn't drunk, and just how we know he didn't just fall off the boat and he was drunk and drinking. First of all, he died under suspicious circumstances. Now, all of a sudden, you have a young man who's died, and instead of trying to figure out what's happened, you already blamed him for his own death. And you're doing that publicly. Only the media can make somebody do that. Only the media can program a weak mind to the point where they believe that it's an impossibility. There has to be proven that something foul was done when all the evidence points to something mysterious was done. And it's not about accusation. It's about finding out what happened. It's about finding out what happened. And look, all I could do is tell you what I think happened. I believe it was a Klan initiation ritual. I believe they sacrificed him for the 4th of July. I believe it's very significant that they did it on Horn Island. The devil showed their damn horns. I believe it was premeditated. And I believe that it wasn't just those teenagers involved. I believe the person who sailed the boat was an older man, and he was involved and connected too. And it was a ritual. And what points to it the most is all of the families being very prominent and rich. You got to understand, these little rich, entitled Caucasian kids, you know, they are into some dark practices. It is a rites of passage for them. When you look at history, when you look at those who've been placed in political power and the things they've done, for them, this is light work. This is child's play to them. I just believe that the initiation got out of control because now it's too many people asking about it. It's too many people who are invested in trying to figure out what happened to Nolan. It's out of their control at this point. It's out of their control.
You mentioned earlier there are some contradictions. Yes. What gives you confidence or perhaps concern about the investigation so far?
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats of argument where you had Nolan and somebody yelling at one another on the boat. So that's the issue. And then you have the young lady make a statement and she says, well, Nolan and I finished talking, and Nolan said he was going back to the boat. And then the boys on the boat said, no, Nolan told them he was going to stay with her. And so they are conflicting. She's saying he went and got on the boat. They saying he didn't get on the boat. So which is it? And all we know is Nolan is dead.
Yep, that's all we know. Nolan is dead. And they're trying to figure out what happened. I want to thank you for the super chat. It says, great podcast, brother. I remember when I was a shorty and my little brother went to play with white neighbors. He came back crying saying that all 4 of the white boys all hit him and kicked him. Yep. You know, listen, a lot of the times when you alone with these Vikings, these Idumeans, you know, they'll do inexplicable evil. They will if you're the only token. And I'm not saying all of them, but there's a significant amount of evil Caucasians. Let's just call it like it is. It's a significant amount of them. When I grew up, I had some friends that were white, had white friends, had a couple white friends in the neighborhood. But guess what? It happened to be more of us than them in our neighborhood. And, I made sure that, we had a mutual respect, whatever the case is, but it's not about hate, it's not about any of that. But we just gotta go with what we know. You gotta go with what you know. Cause sometimes you just don't know the ways of other people. And you don't want to get caught off guard, right? You don't want to get caught off guard.
The more I learn about the Nolan Wells case, the more I'm convinced that it was a Klan initiation ritual. One kid's parent is a judge, another kid's parent is a lawyer, and another kid's parent works in the jail. Happens in Mississippi on the 250th anniversary of our country, not to mention all the black people that have been found hanging from trees and the big group of white masked men marching on the Capitol. This is all Klan activity. The racism in this country disgusts me, and it's a big reason why I'm no contact with most of my family. I don't talk about it on here, but I have a black brother, and my mother raised him to believe that racism isn't real. I pretty much started fighting with my family and going no contact with them when Kyle Kaepernick took a knee, because that's when all of them started feeling comfortable in their racist skin.
Racism still exists.
She said a lot. She said she had to go no contact with her family. She has a black brother who was taught that racism don't exist. And this is why you got to be careful out here, man. Fellas, some of these Gentile women, they may want sex from a black man and all that goofy stuff. But that don't mean they respect you. That don't mean they really understand the struggle, understand the culture or any of that. They don't understand none of that. Some of these same women will raise young black men to be timid, to be cowardice, and to be unknowledgeable of themselves. Let's just be clear about it. I've seen so many videos that have floated around with white women who have black sons, and they are caught on camera calling their black sons N-words. One dude, it's just a fetish for them. One dude, he literally recording his mother. She's calling him an N-word. He's like, yo, let me show you my mom's true colors here. It's just, this is how it is, man. This is just how it is. It's just how it is.
Racism is not going anywhere. Racism is taught and being passed down from Paw to your grandfather, great grandfather, to his granddad, to his dad, down to you. People can sit here and talk about, well, I ain't never had a racist experience. We all, especially Negroes, have had that racist experience, indirectly or directly.
The more I learn about the Nolan Wells case, the more I'm convinced that it was a Klan initiation ritual. One kid's parent is a judge, another kid's parent is a lawyer, and another kid's parent works in the jail. Happens in Mississippi on the 250th anniversary of our country, not to mention all the black people that have been found hanging from trees and the big group of white masked men marching on the Capitol.
Yep, that's enough right there to really make me believe that the 4th of July was a Klan dog whistle day. I really believe that. On the 4th of July, these people knew they can get away with murder on that day. They knew that whatever they did that day, it was going to go down as some type of cover-up. I'm telling y'all, it was just too much going on. Them people was wilding. Even Trump himself, he had a bunch of redneck white supremacists behind him, all wearing cowboy hats, looking like the cats from YMCA. Had all them tobacco chewing redneck hicks up there at the where were they? At the Capitol building somewhere out there showing you what they about. A whole Klan dog whistle. That's what it was. The whole 4th of July was crazy how racist it was this year. And then you got the Sambo super soldiers acting like racism don't exist in America, like white supremacy don't exist in America. That's why I'm glad that it's coming out, that they're being forthcoming with it so we can know the battle that we're really in. So that we can't put our heads in the sand. Yeah, Donald Trump is a Klanman. Let's just call it what it is. He's a white supremacist. It is what it is.
Destiny swapping is when you attempt to take someone else's place through unaliving in hopes that you can assume what their destiny or what their purpose is for yourself.
Exactly. And I want to play this whole video, but I don't know if that music is copywritten. I'm personally tired of getting hit with copyrights. When I get hit with a copyright, I'm forced to remove my chat. Somebody says they're all bootlicking raccoons. That's a fact. And that's what they did to Nolan. They tried to destiny swap with him. Take him out, believing that they can somehow absorb power from him. And that's what the wicked Klan has been doing forever. That's what they've been doing forever. Let me see here. And I don't want people to think that I'm just being sensational when I say the Klan. People like Breed, we don't see the Klan walking around no more. Yes, you do. You seen them on January 4th. You think because they not wearing white hood, they wore a mask. They just switched uniforms. The Klan is here and alive. They did nothing but switch uniforms on July 4th. That was the Klan. Those guys in the cowboy hat standing behind Trump, the Klan. You finding all of these black people still hanging from trees in 2026. See, among the most notorious instruments of terror that kept our people in bondage after Jim Crow was the Klan. Beneath the robes, the mask, the secrecy, there was a lot of ritualistic displays. And it's far more sinister than you can ever imagine, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to tell you what the Klan was really, purpose for. They pretty much function as an organized campaign of intimidation. And what was it designed to do? Silence political opposition. Preserve racial dominance. So homes was burnt, communities terrorized, lives were destroyed. Local authorities always looked the other way when this was happening, always throughout history. In some regions, individuals, they created sympathetic ideologies that occupied with law enforcement. It occupied with the court system. It aligned with political offices. It created an environment where accountability was absent, absolutely absent. That's what happens when there's no resources to fight it. When they have all the power, when all the cards are in their hand, when all of the ball is completely in their control, and we don't have no voice, we don't have no resources, we don't have nothing to demand answers, they get away with this stuff. Yeah, these are the real domestic terrorists, these damn Klansmen. And they're still here today. History records thousands of lynchings across America. Thousands of lynchings across America. Humans being murdered without trial, without due process. And guess what? It was without consequence. And guess what? Many of these lynchings, they were public spectacles. Now, what were they intended to do? Send a message. You think Nolan Wells' death is any different? It was intended to send a message to who? To us. But not just us. The message wasn't only directed at the victim, it was directed at the entire population. It's a declaration that challenging the established order comes with deadly consequences. That's terrorism. In the most literal form, it's terrorism in broad daylight. And then it's shielded in silence. And then when we ask questions, we're labeled the hateful ones for wanting answers. When you think about Mississippi, you got to think about Emmett Till. The name Emmett Till should reign in your mind because it exposes the reality of this United States, man. You got a 14-year-old boy brutally murdered in Mississippi, and I think that happened in 54 or 55, 1955, I believe. And despite overwhelming evidence, y'all, justice was denied. And this went to a courtroom. His mother made courageous decisions throughout that whole case to show the world what happened to her son. Forcing America to just confront the horror that it just no longer can hide. This woman was a soldier, and all she was trying to do was get justice for her son. So somewhat, Emmett Till's story is somewhat became a symbol, but there's countless other names that we just got in our small dispensation of time we've been here. And it's a lot of people who suffer and their names never really reach national attention. It never reached national attention. And so when we have a case like Nolan Wells and it actually reaches national attention, or we have a Carmelo Anthony situation, or we have any of these situations that have happened as of late, and they reach national attention, we should want justice because that's going to show some level of progress. Some level of progress. You know, throughout American history, there's just so many cases that just raise so many profound questions. So many profound questions. And it's like every time we seek for answers, we're the ones demonized. You got the raccoons, the Uncle Ruckuses, the Sambo super soldiers. They're fighting for the white supremacy power dynamic because I don't know what's wrong with them. Their souls are gone. And it's about time that justice is served in these situations. Let me see. Somebody says, rest in peace to Elijah McClain and Sandra Bland. Exactly. There's a whole list. You got Trayvon Martin. You got a whole lot of them, man. There's so many names. It's so many names, y'all.
One of Nolan's friends is speaking.
I know that friend group that he was with is known for, I don't know if I can say the substance, but they're known for doing a certain substance. And, you know, some of us who have spoke to Nolan prior to the island date, we know that they were known for doing that substance.
All right, this is what I need everyone to do. Find that young man, Nolan's friend who's recorded saying this. Find him. Tell him to get a hold of me so I can bring him on my podcast. But can you take a punch? And let's talk about it. Let's bring awareness to these individuals. We've had a plethora of celebrities and we are doing wonderful. But this right here, find this young man. Give him my information. Myself or my producer will talk to him. Get him on the show and let's talk about it. I'll use my platform, the podcast platform, to bring awareness to this bullshit. We need to know what's happening. Matter of fact, I need this gentleman to further explain who these gentlemen were before white people use their platform to create the barrier of them. Oh, they were wonderful kids and they were this and they were that. We need to know who the fuck these motherfuckers were, or who they be, their ideology. What do you know about these motherfuckers? Plus the consumption of narcotics. So if you can find this man, this young kid, whatever, tell him Big Matt from the town would like to holler at him. Get into my fucking inbox. If you guys understand the assignment, I greatly appreciate you. Let's get to rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I know it's got to be that snow. Them boys was probably, them boys allegedly, it's rumors all around the school, all around the community that them boys was on that powder, man. And you know that powder had people wilding. That's what they saying, that them boys was on that powder. We're going to say allegedly, but damn it, we know. We talking about the children of rich parents. We talking about these are rich kids. They was out there tooting up and wilding out. Nose candy. Sugar booger. Cacania. Snowflakes. I don't doubt it at all. They was out there plugging their nostrils. Somebody said, thank you for the super chat. So says, old school rules for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness. Absolutely. Thank you for the support. And it is a spiritual battle for sure. It is a spiritual battle. Tracy Henry, thank you for the support. She says, always on point, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep. Hey, listen, they was on the devil's dandruff. That's what they was on, the devil's dandruff. They was off that soul train. Now, I don't even want to call it soul train because they ain't got no souls. Tracy Henry, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. They were definitely skiing down them slopes. And I believe they were trying to sabotage the good brother Nolan's, his training camp the following day. That's what they were trying to do. On a Peruvian drywall. Man, damn, y'all got all kind of names for the powder. Good gracious. My man said the Peruvian drywall. Yo, wow, man. Y'all done seen some movies or been in some circles, either one. I'm like, damn. I'm over here invested. I'm like, man, these people creative. Somebody said they was on the Icebreaker Express. Official Sean, she shares Baruch 4:25. My children suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from God. For thy enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou have seen his destruction and shall tread upon his neck. Absolutely. These people gonna have to pay the piper. Make no mistake about it. Everything that goes around comes around. And at the end of all this, I'm gonna just tell y'all like these redneck prejudice hicks gonna either get down or lay down. Somebody said they're on the Alaskan ranch. Good gracious, Alaskan ranch? Good gracious, Alaskan ranch. Yeah, we definitely got next. Yeah, that's the situation. That's what it's going to come to. They're going to get down or they're going to lay down. When Christ return and the saints come marching in, it's either you're going to get under a black supremacy structure or you're going to be cast to the lake of fire. That's Bible. That's right. Either you're going to get under the black supremacy or you're going to be destroyed. You ain't even going to have a choice. You ain't even going to have a choice. You won't get a choice when Christ returns. I don't know what these Christian nationalists been teaching you in their churches, But one day I got to do a deep dive on how Christ's coming back with vengeance and bloodshed. How these people going to get wrangled up and dragged out of their damn caves. Yeah. Yeah, they on that white girl. Yeah, they on it. They on that, they was on that sea salt. Allegedly, they saying that them boys was on that sea salt, on that bath salt, and they was on that damn island tweaking the hell out. And now they trying to project and reverse everything on Brother Nolan when he was probably the only sober person there. He was probably the only, sober person there. And he was in a den of thieves. He was in a damn lion's den. Yeah, he on that Britney. They say they was on that Britney Spears and that Christina Aguilera. That's what they saying. I believe it. It should have been drug. Instead of talking about some damn, Nolan might have been drunk. We ain't got toxicology, but we seen something in his hand. He might have been drunk. No, all of the so-called friends that was with him, they need drug tests. They need drug tests. They should have been arrested, drug tested. The moment where they didn't call the damn police and they left that island and they were captured, and they were questioned, they should have been brung in for questioning, drug tests, DNA analysis, hand fingerprints, every damn thing. Because guess what? If it was us doing it, that's what would have happened. If it was us leaving our white friend, oh man, they would have came to knocking. Peaceful, thank you for the support. It says 1 Peter 5:8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walking about, seeking who he may devour. That's a fact. Yep, they was out there on that Justin Timberlake. They was out there geeked up. And now look, it's crazy, man. Now we just want justice for the family. We not out here pocket watching like these weirdos out here. No, we want to see justice in this situation. We want to finally get a win, a W, and be like, you know what? Hey, those guys did what they did. They got caught. Or at the very least, we applied enough pressure where we finally got some damn answers. And we want the same thing in a Carmelo Anthony situation. We just want answers. We just want real transparency.
This tragic outcome of Nolan Wells is exactly why Carmelo Anthony did what he felt like he had to do to protect himself. It's exactly why he felt like he had to go to the extreme in self-defense, because the presence of white people is sometimes just dangerous. We never know what the outcome is going to be. The mere presence of y'all is enough to feel like our lives could be in danger. And I'm not comparing these two young black teenage boys for shits and giggles. I'm talking about it because I saw a lot of folks, black folks included, talking about Carmelo Anthony and be like, well, like he deserves to be punished. He deserves that the justice system against him. He deserves this because he did too much and it wasn't self-defense. But we just don't like the fact that he got this sentencing. And I found that to be a collective gaslighting of black folks in America, of our history, and us knowing what could happen. We have always existed with the reality that no matter what we do, lethal force could be used against us. Just existing could be something that's dangerous for us. And so while we were talking so much about Carmelo Anthony's case and whether or not what he did justified the means in which he got out of that tent with them white boys, we are now collectively grieving alongside a family who's mainly grieving a young black teenage boy. And I think for some of y'all, that's easier because that's the story you're used to. That's the story that comes with, oh, grief and sadness and oh my gosh, I can't believe that he didn't make it back. How could all his white friends come back with the boat and then leave him out there? But then when we have young black kids who see these stories, understand these stories, we have to process these stories. What does that tell us about who is dangerous to us? Who is dangerous? If we can't even trust y'all to be our friends, imagine the fear that happens when you pressing up against us and showing yourself to be a danger or showing that you might touch me or that you might try to hurt me. I'm going to use whatever force possible to make it out of that situation alive. Carmelo Anthony and Nolan Wells, two situations that are happening in the same landscape. And unfortunately, because of how y'all act, white supremacists, you can't divorce these situations from each other. So the next time you're wondering why a young black kid or a black teenager or a black adult might respond in a way that you deem really over the top to make sure they make it out alive, ask yourselves why we feel like our lives are always in danger around you. Y'all are so comfortable with black grief. You're used to black grief. That's what you're used to. That's the story that you are accustomed to. Your nervous system is used to black grief. I'm not going to do that. You're not going to see me grieving this. You're going to see me bringing it back to you. And why? If this shit keeps happening, some of your sons might not come back home either.
I mean, look, straight up, if Nolan Wells would have had his knife, he may be in handcuffs right now, but he'd be alive. What if Nolan Wells had his knife? What if Nolan Wells defended himself? Yeah, he'll be drugged all over the news as a murderer. It would have been no footage. It would have been no evidence of such. It would have been drugged all over the news as this monster was invited to the white cookout and just lashed out. But he would have been alive. He'd have been alive. And you know what? He would have been in jail. And you know what? Based on the way this system worked, he would have stayed in jail because he defended himself. The evidence would have pointed towards he just lost his mind. He was drunk and he just started killing white kids. That's what they would have did. They would have locked him up for 45 to 100 years or worse for defending himself. That's how it works. Tahan, thank you for the support. Says they claim they can't stand us, yet they can't leave us alone. Make it make sense. Obsessed much. Exactly. Exactly. Somebody says what they all doing on that island, man. Oh, they was all getting jiggy on blow. Menthol 100s and snowflakes everywhere. And you have Nolan Wells around these crazed, demonically possessed, turn my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. He was around them. He was around, you know what I'm saying? A bunch of gnarly maniacs. I mean, I just wish the brother wasn't out there like that. I wish the brother wasn't out there like that. And you got some people trying to do damage control in the situation. Even some of our own people try to do damage control. But look, let me see. What's this one? What's what this one talking about?
For the record, I have notes because I just want to be as careful with the story as possible. And so most of my information is coming from the United Occasion Navy, who were the first responders to go out and look for him before any federal agents or like local law enforcement was there. And they were in direct communication with Nolan's family. So on 4th of July, Nolan Wells, who's an 18-year-old football player, he goes to a community college in Mississippi. The group that Nolan traveled with, for the record, are kids that he has known for years. He knows their families, that these are not strangers that he was with. And according to Nolan's family, they've taken this trip to Horn Island several times. This is a normal thing for them.
That's what I'm gathering, because you saw the videos of it. It looks like a really poppin' place.
Yeah.
It's the poppin' place near there. It's a bunch of kids going to party.
Teenagers,
sure, they've been doing it since High school.
Yeah, they left, they went home, and when Nolan did not return that evening, once it was dark outside, is when his mom first reported that he was missing. The search party began Sunday morning, and then on Monday morning at around 8:45, his body washed up on shore. Local law enforcement says that there is no foul play suspected in this case. It's been suggested that Nolan drowned, but an autopsy was performed yesterday on Tuesday. It's probably going to be a while before we actually hear anything. There is video of Nolan on the beach. If you listen to the video, the person that we believe, that we are being told was Nolan, that person can be heard yelling, "Give me my motherfucking phone." So that video, because it was on Snapchat and there's a timestamp, that video was taken at 4:01 p.m. We've been told that the last time people saw Nolan was 3 p.m. One of those friends, his name is Wyatt. Wyatt was not on the boat there with him, and Wyatt was not coming on the boat back with him. Like, Wyatt was just there. According to Wyatt, he was there at 5 p.m. when he saw Nolan. Reportedly, Wyatt was asking Nolan to get on the boat with him. And so what we've heard repeated from law enforcement, from the friends who were there, is that Nolan refused to leave because he apparently met a girl whose name we know is Katie, and apparently Nolan was saying that he wanted to stay, that he would just hitch a ride back with someone else. Katie's story, however, Katie left and Nolan and his group of friends were still there. As she was getting on the boat to leave, Nolan was like waiting in the water with his friends who were at that time telling him to get on their boat. This, I want to be very careful to not make it seem as if we are blaming the victim, the person whose life was lost.
Yeah.
I want to be super careful.
Yeah. The media is doing a good job trying to blame the victim and warp, distort, and manipulate. Watch out for the propaganda. You know, one of the greatest threats to any free society is not merely injustice itself, but concealing injustice. History repeatedly demonstrates when legitimate questions get ignored, when evidence gets withheld, when witnesses get silenced, or any public scrutiny get discouraged, you know, you're going to have the whole system corrode. And you got people out here who wants to try to discourage us for asking questions. We want to know what happened to the young man. Imagine a whole campaign, a funded campaign. Not just the media, but you got certain people who get paid too, under the table, agents and provocateurs and things of that nature, COINTELPRO clowns and all of them, getting paid to try to discourage people from asking questions. See, whether the issue involves government, law enforcement, corporations, or any powerful entity, transparency is the foundation upon which public trust is built. If we don't have an open autopsy report where we can see what happened, we don't know. If suspicion continues to flourish, abuse is easier to conceal. So when you have people who are trying to fight for justice, doing their part, either donating to the family, which is doing their part, or drawing awareness to the situation using our voices, that's doing your part as well. You know, people may not have the situation where they can put them funds out there. But guess what? People talking, people asking questions, people making phone calls, people putting information out there. You know, this is why our community become deeply invested in these cases. That's an act of survival in itself. Instead of trying to leave lingering questions, people who have common sense, we want to seek a verdict. That's part of the healing process. It's part of the healing process for us to want healing, for us to want answers. That's just like your loved one dies. It's like, it's crazy to me because if this goes, some of the same people who try to discourage people for actually highlighting what's going on, if it was their family, they would want answers. They would want closure. If it was them themselves who passed away, they would want the world to know what happened to them. You know, we're seeking clarity. We want to know. We want to know that every lead was pursued. We want to know every piece of evidence was examined. Every fact was brought to the light. The pursuit of truth is not an attack on justice. It's a defense of justice. And I feel like anybody who's righteous should want answers. They should want people digging to try to figure out what happened. If you don't want answers, then I'm going to just tell you, you're racist. In this situation, if you are a Caucasian person, you're viewing me right now, and you do not want transparency in this situation, and you feel like we're just complaining, we're just doing too much, you are a racist. Simple as that. When citizens demand answers, they're exercising one of the most important responsibilities in any democratic society. And that's self-preservation. You got to understand that. Would y'all want us to just roll over and die or be killed and not say a damn thing? History itself is filled with examples where the truth did not emerge immediately. In some instances, information surfaced years later, and it happened through independent investigation. That happened through public pressure. That happened through actual journalism, legal challenges, and more often than not, people die doing this. They die doing it. Or they got to go into hiding, or their life goes into shambles. You understand me? Allie Carter comes to mind when she was exposing the secret societies in Hollywood and the SA and the ritual abuse that was taking place. People more often than not have to really go underground, so to speak, just to speak the truth. So when we see a situation where we can all get on one accord, oh, we got to hit the ground running to expose what's going on. You got to. You know? You got to stay persistent with this stuff. Persistence is advocacy for families who refuse to stop asking questions. Now, let's say had all of the individuals who taught us the things we know about secret societies, blood sacrifices, government cover-ups, things about the food that's poison, toxic. Imagine if all those people remain silent. I want y'all to just think about a world where everything that you once thought was a conspiracy theory, all of those people who was bringing out certain information, they just all just remained silent. They just all never brought anything out. And everybody had complete trust in the system and just stayed right there. The world be over by now. Everybody be mindless sheep. Everybody be plugged into people would have been plugged into the Neuralink. Everybody would have been done. The mark of the beast, everybody would have had it already. It just would have been over already. It would have been no hope. No hope. Just imagine if people didn't bring out a lot of the important facts that you know today, brothers and sisters. Imagine if they never came to the light. Imagine if persistence never occurred from the people that you respect, look up to, learn from. It requires what? Determination, resources, unwavering public attention. These are the things that are required. Anybody who's hating on the fact that the family's raising money is a low-level thinker. Meanwhile, you got their families fundraising hundreds and thousands of dollars, coming together, putting their resources together, and you got these lame, idiotic, foolish, reprobated, slothful idiots out here who talking about how much money the family raised. They're going against a whole institution. They're going against their son had just died. Just imagine how insensitive that is. Their son just died, and the only way to get answers is go against a whole county, go against a media machine who's already trying to demonize your son, talking about he's a drunk, and this is a star athlete. And I believe that the family is dealing with this thing very tactfully. They're not out here accusing nobody. They're not doing nothing. They're demanding answers. And it's just going to cost a lot of money to get those answers. But when anytime we doing something, oh, them niggas just gonna buy rims and chicken wings and them niggas, yeah, I can't believe you giving them niggas money. Y'all, it's some weirdos out here. Yeah, they just fundraising so they can buy lavish gifts and all. No, it costs money to get justice. They need $1 million. They may need more. That's why financial support can play a significant role when families are seeking answers, because they're going against a system. They're going against multiple families. It's a cover-up. It's an obvious cover-up. Even the media is in on it. They need independent experts. They need attorneys. They need investigators. They need forensic review document requests. They need civil action. They need substantial resources to acquire all of that. Funding alone can't even establish the truth. It can only help that certain critical questions get answered in a situation like this. But you got people who never really been through these type of situations, and they don't know what type of money it actually costs just to get answers when you're going against a corrupt ass system. It can help, the resources can help thoroughly examine whether there's collusion involved. See, a lot of the times we don't get justice in our community because of financial limitations. Let's just call it what it is. I think the family raised around $250,000. That might not even be enough. That's nothing. You know, a lot of the times community support is often viewed as, it's some type of scam. That's what it's often viewed as. Like, community support is also often viewed as like something that should be frowned upon. No, these people be on code. Shiloh Hendricks raised lots of money, and all she did was call a little black kid an N-word, hurl all kind of racial obscenities at a child, and she was able to raise damn near $1 million. They're on code, and we got crabs in our community. We got crabs in our community trying to nitpick and galvanize us at every corner and every turn. Meanwhile, these people out here winning the war. They're winning the war. I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm looking at the state of our people, man, and we got, this is truly Jacob's trouble. It really is, because not only do we got the white supremacy, but we got our own people. We got our own people who are constantly trying to tear each other down at every corner. Even when we just trying to demand justice, we get tore down for that. It's something extremely wrong with our people. Not only do we got to worry about white supremacists, but we got to worry about raccoons, tethers, trolls, Sambos. The war is real. You know? The goal should never be to manufacture a narrative or assume guilt without evidence. That's not what we're trying to do. The goal should be to remove doubt by pursuing the facts, whether they lead to guilty or non-guilty. Truth don't fear the investigation. When you see these devils start hiding something, that shows fear. Truth doesn't fear scrutiny either. Truth becomes stronger when challenged because facts can withstand any examination. The truth is not afraid of a guilty, non-guilty verdict in situation. Truth just wants the damn truth. You know, if institutions have acted properly, transparency reinforces public confidence. We'll be all right. If mistakes were made, transparency provides an opportunity for correction and accountability. You know, because sometimes human error happens in investigations. Let's just call it like it is. Sometimes you have situations where one cop may be a damn tyrant, and it may be a couple good apples left in a bunch who are trying to bring justice. You understand what I'm saying, y'all? But without accountability, those things can't be brought to the table. There are situations like that where justice is trying to be exposed, but people are discouraged from even crossing that line. You know? We're trying to get facts over feelings. You know, we want every claim to be evaluated. We want evidence rather than influence. You know, a society that values truth must be willing to examine all the uncomfortable questions, because unanswered questions have been echoing through generation to generation to generation, and we're tired of it. We're tired of it. And this is why we bring the truth on Nubreed Global Truth. We're impartial to BS. We're not trying to be contrarians. We're not trying to be sensationalized. We examine what's going on in the world, and we are looking for the truth. That's what this is about. All of these situations like this. And of course, you know, there's a lot going on in the world, and we're going to pivot to some of these stories, but it's like one thing after another. We had the Carmelo situation. We got this situation. Of course, if we get more developments on this case, we're going to definitely touch bases on it. But, you know, it's so many things going on in the world, y'all, that I gotta talk to y'all about. Man, we got to do some deep dives. It's a lot going on, y'all. It's a lot going on. See, got a few minutes. Somebody says, yeah, it's played out and it's overly redundant, right? Yep. Somebody says they will have to pay for the innocent blood they shedded. Absolutely. Yep. That's right, Tahan. We are the truth intelligence community. We just gonna get down to the nitty gritty. Yep. And I want y'all to feel free to support the work, man. You know, I really, I'm finna put this album out very soon. I'm not gonna put it out as an album. I'm putting out song by song by song strategically, because, ladies and gentlemen, we just gotta get the push it deserves. If y'all like that track, if y'all been here since the beginning of the broadcast, if y'all like that track I played at the beginning called No Remedy with the audio visuals, then show y'all support by sharing that video. It's actually uploaded here on Nubreed Global Truth. Share that video, hype that video up everywhere. It got amazing engagement, but unfortunately the algorithm is not pushing it like it should. I know when I posted it, it had like 1,000 views with 3,000. I mean, it had like a 1,000 likes with only 3,000 views, which shows me that people really like that video. and they like the song, like the video, and you know, it's just up to us to make things pop. You know, at the end of the day, they don't. Let me explain something. Music is so powerful, y'all, that they don't really be wanting to share, you know, make things pop off like they should. So it's going to take you, the people, to go to the song. If you listening to it around the house, you riding your whip, just hit the hype button. Because what I'm trying to do is make sure the hard work pays off. Because I got a lot of good music just sitting here. It's just sitting here. And I'm apprehensive to release it because I don't want to release music and it don't get the support. And I put in the work. You know, I done prayed to the Most High about this. I don't think he would bless me with such good talent and not let it go spread to the world. Because he's the one who's giving me the lyrics, giving me the words, giving me the concepts for songs. Each song is like a mini movie. And he's giving me these concepts. And I just don't think he gave me that for no reason. And I think a lot of people need to hear it. If y'all are fans of it, make sure y'all share it. You know, make sure y'all get it out there because it's a talent and it's a gift. And I think everybody should be able to get that. As well as make sure y'all supporting the work, y'all. Make sure y'all supporting the work. I'm not one to beg. I just want to be respected for the work I put in. If you have been edified by my work or entertained by my work for that matter, any of that, you know, when you show up for streams, make sure y'all liking the video. Make sure that if you have it in your ability to give super chats or cash apps, that you're able to do that. Actually support. Charity covers the multitudes of sins, and it's good to invest in your interests. I don't get the traction I should get on this channel. I believe Nubreed Global Truth platform is extremely underrated, and it's been that way for years. And so it's going to take you, the people, to support the work I actually do, because I work very hard to put out a platform, to uphold a platform that goes into controversial topics. And it's going to just take more support from the people. So, you know, the Cash App is Nubreed Global Truth. And I do appreciate y'all. As well as I have a website called nubreedglobaltruth.com. I got merchandise on that site. It helps when y'all support the merch. Pretty soon I'm going to be dropping the Truth Maxim t-shirts, because, you know, we are the home of Truth Maxim. And we're going to be putting that out. We're going to be putting those out soon. So I hopefully y'all can show up and support the Truth Maxim t-shirts. And, you know, also HebrewCare.com, get your natural products from HebrewCare.com. That's my family over there. They got their own all natural products. They got honey. You know, my people, they some beekeepers. So that's all natural honey, you know. And so support them as well at HebrewCare.com. If you can, anything y'all can do to just keep Nubreed Global Truth in full operation, just know it's important. I have a passion to do this work, but also, you know what comes with it. You know what comes with it. It has to be support that comes with it. And, you know, I see people be jumping out the room when you talk about support. Y'all see how that happened? It go from 100 people like, oh, all right, we're done. See, that's what I'm talking about. But you know what? That shows you what I deal with here. Soon as they get the show, all right, he talking about a support now. I'm out. That shows you what people's mindset at. But guess what? The ones who keep it 1,000, the ones who really around, the ones who there, I'm not gonna forget y'all. I'm not gonna forget y'all when I blow up. I'm gonna know the ones who is supportive, and I'm the type of person, I'm loyal. Listen, I'm the type of person you want on your side. I'm the type of person you want on your side, and you're gonna see how real it is when things start hitting the fan here in this country. Oh, you're gonna see. And I'm gonna tell you, those who got that selfish energy like that, who will sit there and learn from you and get all this from you, but never support you. Oh, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn the error of your ways. But for my day ones, my real ones, people who've been pulling up, supporting when they can, even just by liking the videos, sharing, going to the sites, you know, sticking around, being here, sending cash apps, giving condolences when I lost. All of y'all, I'm rocking with y'all. And there will be reciprocity. There's gonna come a time everybody gonna have to, at some point, everybody gonna have to align with each other outside of social media. And then we're gonna see how far people's selfish energy actually get them. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, nonetheless, it's always an honor and a blessing building with y'all. I'm gonna go find me some good Tubi movies to watch. Yeah, I'm gonna find me some good Tubi movies and probably watch some low budget hood movies and rest my mind. You know how I go. Or if y'all got some psychological thrillers in mind, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. But man, I want to say thank y'all for being around, and of course we got more material coming. Y'all stay blessed out there. With that being said, shalom.